this week's Construction Bulletin on Africa, brought to you by Construction Review, Africa's leading construction journal. I'm Eric Maingi. In this week's news, President Kibaki of Kenya launches Kansas City roads. Japan proposes high-speed South African rail link. Nigeria's first private power plant to begin operations in March. And in Namibia, waterfront for Gorengab in the offing. Internationally, 11 billion approved for a second airport for Beijing, and in the US, the naval architects and civil engineers work on deepening the fastest growing US port. In events today, we feature Bomber China 2012. Welcome. We begin our bulletin here in Kenya, where President Kibaki recently led the groundbreaking ceremony for Konza Techno City. The Kenyan government wants to attract international technology companies to invest in the facilities, which will consist of a convention center, a science park, hotels, and shopping centers spread across a 5,000-acre site 60 kilometers south of Nairobi. The first phase of the project has attracted 14 IT companies so far. Konza City, which is one of the key flagship projects of Vision 2030, will position Kenya as the region's information and technology hub, besides creating employment for over 200,000 youth. Konza City could further lead to a new settlement of close to 1 million people. Now on to South Africa, where Japan has joined Germany, China and France in bidding to build an 18 billion high-speed rail link between South Africa's eastern port city of Durban and Johannesburg, the country's commercial hub. Funding models include partnerships between government and private business, with a combination of VN loans. Yoshimasha Sakon of Japan International Consultants for Transport Company told officials from government and the construction industry in Durban that the railway will be built in two phases with completion in 2025. In the national budget last year, the Finance Ministry listed 3.2 trillion rand of infrastructure projects it is considering implementing by 2012. Over to Nigeria, where the first privately owned power plant in Nigeria, Geometric Power Limited, will commence operations in March. This is according to the managing director of the company, Agatha Nanji, who was speaking during an inspection of the plant in Aba, Abia State, for the National Good Governance Tour team. Naji said when commissioned, the plant will provide uninterrupted power supply to Aba and its environment. The 140 megawatt plant has 3 turbines already installed, while an overhead line, a 27-kilometer gas pipeline, and a substation have since been completed. Naji added that the company has entered into an agreement with Shell Petroleum Company for the supply of gas, and it plans to absorb and train some former staff of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria to work at the plant. The company has completed the construction of 4 substations at different locations in Abia State and acquired and refurbished 3 substations of PHCN. In Namibia, plans to kickstart a $111.5 million waterfront project at the Gorengab Dam in Katutura are well underway. The developer and the city of Windhoek signed a preliminary agreement recently. Green Building Construction, the company that is responsible for the project, applied to the city of Windhoek 4 years ago to approve the project under its special projects policy. The Gorengab waterfront project is expected to take 5 years to complete and will include a commercial and residential development component. According to Kapwang, the director of Green Building Construction, there would not be any physical development within the next 18 months, adding that in this period, most of the work will comprise mainly of concept design and other technical aspects of the project. Now moving on to the international scene, where the Chinese government has approved the construction of a new airport in Beijing to help the capital city cope with congestion at its main hub. A news report by the Civil Aviation Administration of China says construction of the new airport, to be located in Daxing, south of Beijing, is scheduled to start in 2014 and will be completed by 2018. The airport, estimated to cost around 11.3 billion, will be managed by state-owned Capital Airports Holding, which also manages Beijing-capital-international-airport. On to the US, where at a cost of $600 million, the George Ports Authority is in the midst of deepening the Savannah River shipping channel from 42 to 50 feet along 36 miles of its length to accommodate the new Panamax ships and upgrading its logistical capabilities. The project is scheduled for completion in 2016. The Port of Savannah has extensive facilities located along Savannah River, approximately 18 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. The port has been the fastest growing seaport in the United States. Naval architects and civil engineers on the eastern seaboard have been working overtime as the ships and all the equipment and facilities that support them were designed to fit the old dimensions of the Panama Canal that are currently being enlarged. Finally, Bomber China 2012. Bomber China saw a 16% rise in visitor numbers to 180,000 compared to the last time the exhibition was held in 2010. There was a 46% rise in the number of exhibitors to 2,718, and the amount of space occupied was up 30% to 300,000 meters square. Visitors from some 141 countries attending the show, with China having the largest group of 1,837 exhibitors, followed by Russia, South Korea, India, Malaysia, Singapore, Japan, Thailand, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Turkey. One of the most eye-catching machines at Bomber China 2012 was a new 300-ton face shovel from Zunlion. The next Bomber China takes place in Shanghai from November 25th to 28th, 2014. And that's all for today. Thank you for choosing to watch Construction Review News. For more news, a digital version of our print edition, a directory, and much more on the construction industry in Africa, visit us at www.constructionreviewonline.com. Until next week, I'm Eric.